Hello, my friends. I'm excited to be here with Dr. Janyne Emsick. She is the CEO for YourExecutiveCoach.com. We are here to talk about an exciting inaugural event. Janyne, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you, Andy. It is a delight to have a conversation with you again. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You are welcome. Well, we're here to talk about the inaugural Omaha Community Gratitude Summit. And we talked about a week or so ago about this, but I'd like you to just share with us the background and how did this come to be?
So it's kind of, I had one of those, if you build it, they will come moments,
Mhm.
and one morning during I call it my morning A game, where I get ready for the day and I have a quiet time of meditation and stuff. And this prompting to have host a gratitude summit. And I actually saw David Brown, the CEO at the time of the Chamber of Commerce,
Mhm.
and Pat Morris, who's a young professional,
Yeah.
intersecting and having a conversation and creating a space that provided the opportunity for people in the Omaha community to celebrate and give thanks for what is great about this community and learn about the science
Yeah.
of gratitude. And so we actually, at that point, this was January of 2020.
Mhm.
So teed up speakers, Pat Kearns, the CEO of QLI, and their neuroscientist, Jeff Snell, and then booked the Scott Center. And I don't know, 2 weeks later, I think, COVID hit and
Yeah.
everything went on hold. And that's just so exciting that that idea from before COVID is becoming a reality now here in October of 2022.
Yeah. I mean, and don't you just love it when, even though you had kind of a wrench kind of thrown in the specifics of it and the timing, but something, that's how these wonderful events and great things that happen in life start. They start with this little like, I wonder,
Yeah.
is that possible? And then
Yeah.
you kind of follow, the trail of where that goes. So, well, let's talk a little bit. About the Gratitude Summit and the day and kind of what that looks like.
So we're going to be gathering on October 26th, and it's one summit and three, I'm calling it three events, but really it's four when I think about it. So we're
Mhm.
going to begin in the morning at the Scott Center in Exarban with an executive breakfast. And the executive breakfast is going to focus on why gratitude works in the workplace and every place else. And so we're going to have about 80 executives from the community, key leaders from the community, learning not just about thankfulness and feeling good about being thankful, but what is the science of gratitude? And we have brought in the world's leading expert on gratitude research. He's got 30 years of expertise researching gratitude. He's out of UC Davis. His name is Dr. Robert Emmons. And so he will be leading the executive breakfast that morning. When gratitude is embraced at the top of the organization, at the senior level of the organization, it just trickles throughout the organization. And in a day and age when retention, attracting talent, the need to collaborate, the need to innovate, those are all connected to the practice of gratitude. This will be just a wonderful opportunity for CEOs. The second event is going to be in the afternoon from 3 to 6, also at the Scott Center. And that will be a combination of learning the science of gratitude again, why gratitude works in the workplace and every place else, as well as the neuroscience of gratitude with Dr. Jeffrey Snell from QLI, as well as an opportunity to practice some of the gratitude skills. Everybody's going to get a gratitude toolkit with a gratitude journal and Dr. Emmons' book on gratitude and some thank you notes, and we'll practice some of that. And the vision is, let's give thanks to our first responders, to our healthcare workers, to our educators, to
Mm-hmm.
the leaders in our businesses that figured out how to keep our businesses going when the pandemic hit, to the moms and dads that were figuring out, how do I keep my family going and my kids learning at home while I'm trying to work at home? I mean, if the thought before COVID was that it would be wonderful to celebrate what we're grateful for, that opportunity now
Yes.
is even stronger. And so Then we're going to offer that virtually as well. So there'll be a virtual workshop, and folks who participate virtually will get the gratitude toolkit in advance so that they can participate in all of the exercises.
Yeah.
And really cool, the last piece is we partnered with the Scott Scholars. And the Scott Scholars from UNO and from Creighton will both attend the Gratitude Summit at 3:00. They'll stick around for a specific workshop for university students, for the Scott Scholars, where they're going to understand, they're going to learn about how gratitude can rewire your brain towards greater mental health and prepare them as the Omaha community's future leaders and future employees. And so that's just going to be a wonderful event, the gratitude workshop for the students.
Yeah. And as for the executive breakfast, and really the whole day, is when you think about getting executives together, not always, but most often you're talking about strategic planning and financial goals and all of these things that are very important and required to run a business, but you don't talk about gratitude. So this is so exciting.
Yeah. There's some interesting research, Andy, that asked executives, what do your teams need from you? And then they asked their teams, what do you need from your leaders? And the executives responded two things. They said, I need to get more technically competent and more financially competent. They asked the employees, what do you need from your leaders? And they said two things. Where are you taking me? Leadership and emotional intelligence. How are you treating me? And so the practice of gratitude will equip executives on that really important piece of how are you treating me?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Again, this is so
wonderful. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So, okay. So what difference do you envision the Gratitude Summit making in the community?
So our vision is, and I say our because we have a wonderful team of folks that are helping plan and prepare the summit, and the community, the leaders I've met in the community saying, hey, would you like to support this? I mean, there's natural enthusiasm. I think it's something that just is embedded in the Omaha community. But the difference I see is that, particularly coming out of these really hard 2.5 years that we've all been through together, not only learning about the practice of gratitude, the skills that are part of gratitude, because it really is a skill, and having the opportunity to learn that and to practice that, to be equipped to practice that in the summit. But we're going to create opportunities that will flow as ripples in the community of gratitude, so that we're giving thanks to our healthcare workers. We're giving thanks to our first responders. We're giving thanks to our military and veterans. We're giving thanks to educators or nonprofit leaders, so that there will be ripples that happen in the community as a result of this that will continue beyond the summit experience itself.
Yeah. Again, I keep saying this is so exciting. This is so exciting because it is exciting. And just looking at taking that piece and having it ripple out and having that be another tool in the toolbox of a leader for how their companies can grow and be the best that they can be. Not just on a financial worksheet, but across the board with their employees, like you said, and their teams. So, well, let's get a little bit down to the specifics of how people can register and that whole piece of it.
Well, that's really easy. You just go to www.gratitudesummit.org. And that'll take you to the page that will let you register for whichever of the events it is that you'd like to attend. And it literally is going to be that easy. We're going to ask for folks that are participating virtually that they would register a week in advance. So is that the 26th minus, is that like the 19th? And so that we have time to send them their gratitude journals. They're going to get, let me see here, they're going to get Dr. Emmons' book. The little book of gratitude it's just brilliant. The beginning is about the science of gratitude, and then there are all these little exercises that you can put into practice.
Awesome.
To strengthen your gratitude muscle. Thank you cards. And I went to the post office yesterday, and you are not going to believe what a sheet of forever stamps is right now. They have thank you forever stamps. And so
Oh, do they really?
yeah, they're going to
Oh.
get some stamps to send their letters out. And so we're going to ask the people who are going to be registering virtually to register a little bit in advance. But that's how simple it is. Go to gratitudesummit.org, and that'll take you to the page where registration can be found.
Well, let's talk a little bit before we end about the businesses or corporations that want to support the summit.
So the first conversation that I had was with Mallory Maddox at Blue Cross Blue Shield and cast the vision for the summit. And they were on board from the beginning. And so they're our presenting sponsor. But we also have support, and it has been wonderful. Without fail, the people I've gone to meet and say, is this something that you'd like to support, are on board. It's been really exciting. So American National Bank, OneSource, the background check company, Physicians Mutual, and QLI. QLI is not only, this is kind of a fun story. I went to meet with Pat Kearns to thank her for being part of the initial vision and brought her a couple of these little book of gratitude copies for her. And she said, well, Janyne, we want to be a sponsor. Did you come to ask me about that? I said, no, I just came to say thank you. And so not only will Jeff Snell be speaking at the event, but they are one of our key sponsors. And then, of course, my firm, yourexecutivecoach.com, is one of the sponsors. Yeah. The other piece that is an opportunity is a series of what we're calling gift of gratitude tables. And so if a company would like to send their team to the event, and these are only available, well, they're available for both the executive breakfast and for the afternoon event. We'd like to target gift of gratitude tables for those demographics I've mentioned, a gift of gratitude table for educators, for nonprofit leaders, for people from healthcare, from first responders and military and vets. And we're asking companies to split that table between whatever that demographic is. Say it's nonprofit executives and their own executives at the executive breakfast, or one of the other demographics. And so that's another way to support the summit and to support folks who are serving in our community. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's I think that's genius too. I liked the split of inviting one of those organizations in, and then also connecting them with your executive team. So bravo.
Thank you. It's really, I mean, the vision got bigger as the team kind of formed around it. And so we have Pat Morris, who is a young professional that was in my original vision. Joshua Sawyer, who is the minister of First Christian Church, that cool church just west of UNO with the neat kind of stained glass. Harnoor Singh, who is the director of the Scott Scholars Program at UNO, and then Amy Tokus, who is a professional organizer and is president of the National Organization of Professional Organizers and Productivity. I'm messing that up. It's called NAPO. Yeah. And then Terry Fisher, who is the director of the Scott Scholars Program at Creighton. And so it kind of went from my little local vision to something much bigger, and I'm really excited.
Well, and I know with us talking a little bit about this is number one, but you know, I know you're already thinking and have been for the next one and the next one and the next one, and seeing how this grows. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Yep, we're really excited, and I think we're going to fill our spaces. And gosh, just think about this. There'll be like 500 people from the community, and who knows how many online, who are learning about the practice of gratitude. And not only will there be ripples in our workplace, but think about what that does for our community, but think about what that does for our homes.
Yes.
Families. That I really feel like this can be an amazing difference maker for this great community of Omaha, Nebraska, that I moved to 13 years ago this past weekend. And so you could tell I've fallen in love with it.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you. Thank you for your vision and for everybody that you've invited into the vision. And this is going to be great. So mark your calendars, October 26th, the Scott Conference Center, gratitude.org.
And I forgot something.
What?
MBJ and Metro Spirit of Omaha is a sponsor. Oh, you guys are You guys are our media sponsor. And oh my gosh, one of the things I love, Andy, is that this is so in line with who you are. I don't know if people know that you sign your emails joyfully.
Yeah.
Like that this is so aligned with who you are and what's important to you. So thank you for all of your really concrete support in getting the word out for the Gratitude Summit.
You're welcome. Yep. You had me at gratitude the minute I got the email. So anyway, Janyne, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you on the 26th, if not before, and hope all of you head to that website. So thank you again.
Everyone.
And we'll talk soon. Well, hello, my friends. I'm so excited to be talking with Lina Stover. She is the Executive Director of the Heartland Workers Center. Lina, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Andy.
And okay, I must admit, I'm not familiar with this organization. And as I was like looking around on the website and really kind of getting a grip of what you do, what an amazing organization. But I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about the mission, who you serve, and kind of the bigger picture.
Absolutely. So we were founded with the idea of protecting workers' rights in the immigrant community. That's the back history. Our mission is to develop and organize leaders, promote workers' rights, and foster a culture of civic engagement in order to build power and create change in immigrant communities and marginalized communities.
Okay. And talk to me a little bit. So I know what marginalized communities, what does that mean?
Sure. So it's historically underrepresented communities. So tends to be people of color, women could be in that. It just kind of depends on what specific area we are talking about. And we look at history and we say who wasn't represented. And that's what marginalized communities are going to end up with.
Okay. Okay, great. So one of the things that I really want to talk to you about today, because we've got the elections coming up. And tell me about the purpose of it's like, I vote for my family initiative. What is that all about?
Sure. So we have 3 pillars within our mission. And I'm going to concentrate on civic engagement here in a second, because I vote for my family is part of our civic engagement pillar. We also work with workers' rights and we do leadership development. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, on civic engagement, we really want people to understand, and immigrant marginalized communities especially, that their vote is very powerful. And we want them to be active in their communities, and we want them to see the change that they want for their communities. And one easy way to do that is through the vote, right? And the idea of I vote for my family, I can tell you that right now in my household, I have my 2 little children, right? They're not eligible to vote because they're not over 18. They were born in the States, so they were citizens, etc. But I'm voting for their future as well, right? So my vote, I'm the only one that is going to go and select the leaders. It's really going to count for everyone else in my family. Mm-hmm. Like that, there are many families out there that are perhaps voting for cousins, uncles, siblings, and all kinds of things. So it's really about the power of one vote and how that one vote represents people that are not eligible to vote as well.
Yeah. I have to tell you, Lina, you're talking to me and saying that in a completely different way that I've never looked at it before. Because, we go out and vote, we do this, but you really are voting for, like you say, your family. And it's such a much bigger picture than.
That's right. It's a big responsibility. And what a joy to be able to say, I'm the one that is going to do it. And maybe perhaps have conversations with your family and what are they into, what are they not into, doing some research about what are the changes that you want in your community.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this too, just for the viewers from this show. registering to vote is so important. I mean, it is important. And you might have just said this, but I'm just gonna like ask you again, why is it important to vote? I mean, what does that mean? Big picture wise, you can look at like how it's like here, but there is just, when you look down to the future, it's an important thing. And we
Absolutely. And I think
look that far. So,
and I think these elections, the midterm elections, are even more significant than other elections, especially here in Nebraska. There's a couple points that I'll make here. One, the legislature that we have here in Nebraska, the unicameral, we're about to send a whole new cohort of representatives. Those representatives really are voicing our opinions. They're representatives of about 40,000 people areas. We're divided in districts, and each representative is supposed to represent our interests.
right.
So knowing that I have someone in Lincoln, Nebraska, that is representing the area where I live, then I want to make sure that whoever is elected in that office is really represented what I think and what I want. And this is, of course, big policies, things that are going to be changing here, that are going to be on the ballot this year, minimum wage, maybe some, in the past, we've talked about licenses and who can get licenses, who cannot get licenses, access to Medicare, all kinds of very important things. So that's in Lincoln, important. Also very important is what is happening at the local level, right? The Board of Education, for all the different school districts that are around this area. We are electing the officials that are going to be making big decisions on behalf of the children that we're educating. So if we have strong ideas about how education should happen, or even strong ideas about how our children, what they could learn while they are in school, I think it's imperative that we start by voicing our opinion with the vote. It doesn't end there, right? Our participation doesn't end in just voting and electing and moving away. But the truth is that knowing who's the spokesperson on our behalf, that's the first step. And having a say of who's my spokesperson. I honestly think about, we probably voted for homecoming king and queen back in the days, or maybe closer in the days, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
And that was important, right? We wanted to see who was out there and they represented something. Well, multiply that times 1,000, because the reality is that these elected officials do have the power to make big differences in everything that we're doing for our children locally. And, this is true for our schools, it's true for our power districts, it's true for our libraries, it's true for the sheriff here, for example, in Omaha. There's all kinds of representatives that we're electing right now. So it's not just one vote, it's a number of people that we're electing.
So I want to ask you, Lina, too, I mean, as executive director of the Heartland Workers Center, there are a few other things. I mean, this is a nonprofit organization, and when you look at it as a whole, I mean, what is your purpose? I know this is one initiative, but tell us, what is the bigger purpose, and how can the community support you?
Oh, thank you so much. So there is I think that advocating for immigrant and underrepresented communities is really the big, large purpose.
Yeah.
In this area of civic engagement, one of the things that we do to ensure that our communities are not only registered to vote, that are able to show up to vote, that they're not turned away for whatever reason, right? I come in with an accent and there shouldn't be anybody turning me away, but these things could happen. Yeah. So knowing my rights when I am going to cast my vote is also an important piece here, but also understanding what am I voting for? Who am I voting for? And we partner, for example, with other organizations, the League of Women Voters, and we have created a guide for these elections, and everyone can go out there, and if you can find the Reader or El Perico, wherever you find those two, you can pick up this guide. and it's both in English and in Spanish. And it's going to give you every single candidate and their ideas. So if you want the cheat sheet on how to vote and who to vote for, this is a great place to look at what are their ideas, and then you can then match your ideas with their ideas and find the right elected person. And I tell you that tangible outcome because, of course, as you can imagine, translating this document is a lot of work. And that is one of the things that we did here because we know how important the information is. Printing this is also costly.
Yeah.
And we're putting money to print this.
Yes.
So there is just a lot of financial contributions that we're doing that are way behind the scenes, right? When you pick up this, you don't think about what all went into it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Many
for sure.
hours.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how can people support us? Honestly, financially is clearly a way, and you can go to our website.
I'm looking at your website right here. So yeah.
Yes, heartlandworkercenter.org, and you can find a place there. But I also think that there is power in our intentionality with our words. And I love the question that you asked me at the very beginning. You said, marginalized communities, what is that? That is a brave question, right? That is a smart question as well, because it's not assuming that we all know what we're talking about. So I think being willing to be vulnerable with our questions and to learn a different perspective, that is probably a big way in which the community can support the immigrant and marginalized communities here in Nebraska.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Asking questions, I think, is the way to a greater future, regardless of what they are, because if you're not asking questions, you're just assuming that you know what you know, and questions open. Yeah.
And, you know, I'm going to, since we're talking about the elections and things, the debate season is about to start. I know there's a couple of debates tomorrow. We are actually hosting one on the 17th of October at the CEC at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And I believe that this airs after it. So it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so.
That's totally okay. It'll be fantastic. But participating in those debates is another great way to find out not only what they think, but it's a great way to let our future elected officials know what we think. Yeah. Because sometimes it's a matter of showing up and saying, you know what, these are my thoughts on critical race theory. These are my thoughts on immigration. These are my thoughts on workforce development in Nebraska. And as you can tell, I'm not telling you what to think.
Yeah.
We're nonpartisan.
Yeah.
And that's important to us, that we remain nonpartisan, but we are engaged in the conversation, that we listen to one another.
Absolutely. Lina, thank you so much. I mean, our time is up, but what an incredible, actually brilliant conversation that we had today. I so appreciate it. And everyone, encourage you, heartlandworkercenter.org. So much information on that website. And again, Lina, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. And remember, everyone, that we're voting for our families. So let's register to vote and let's go and cast our votes.
Yes.
Thank you.